Did y'all see that invitation to go have drinks with Kanchan and think about, did you see that? Okay. So I need all the mathers in the room to meet at the bar to talk about joy. Okay. No, I'm Kanika. I'm super excited to introduce our next speaker, Amanda Jansen. And I could tell you, I could read out her resume and I could tell you that she's an amazing professor, keynote speaker. I could talk about her service leadership and the ways in which she's led in her local community and also abroad. I could tell you that she's an author, talk about her titles, but I think what I've come to find is an amazing and important thing to let you all know is that Mandy, who I've come to know, is a genuinely authentic human who is so kind. And more importantly than that, she's seeking to pursue a more empathetic practice as an educator. And so without further ado, I welcome Mandy to the stage. You are in for a treat.
Thanks so much, everyone, for coming here tonight. This is what I'm going to talk about, but before I begin, I have a confession. My name is Mandy, and I failed the physical fitness test in junior high. That picture is the flexed arm hang. Did you have this in middle school? Yeah. Okay, this flexed arm hang, there were some girls in my class who could hang out on that bar for what felt like days. I couldn't do 1 second. PE class was like this for me all the time. 50-yard dash, I was last. Field day, more like torture day. Skills test in PE, can you serve the volleyball over the net? No, and I'm gonna show you in front of everyone. Awful. So just take for a minute and think about your thoughts about this physical fitness test. What words come to your mind? A quick 5-minute search on the internet gives us words like this: soul-crushing, humiliating, sadistic, traumatizing, and demoralizing. And I relate. Once PE was no longer compulsory for me after 9th grade, I was set. I couldn't do it, so I didn't have to do it. Awesome. Some of my friends exercise. I feel like they drank the same kind of Kool-Aid, right? They would say things like, working out is my me time. What? What's that? Exercise reduces stress. That's cool for you. It causes stress for me. Exercises gives you endorphins. That can't be true. Emperor's new clothes. So I decided for me, I'm gonna be a brain on a stick. I like school. I'm gonna be an academic. I'm gonna do math, major in math. I'm gonna be a math teacher, and then I'm gonna become a professor. It's just my brain, that's all I need, right? PE class for me was like this: a process of performing poorly over and over in front of everyone. It was so embarrassing. So I just thought I would avoid it at all costs. And I could. I didn't have to take it anymore after 9th grade. It didn't impact my college major. It didn't impact my career choices. But I was a 7th grade teacher, and some of my students, for them, unfortunately, math class felt like this, right? And now I teach future elementary teachers in college and future middle school teachers, and not all of them, but some of them feel like this about math class. But for me, I could avoid the thing that made me feel bad. I wasn't required to take more PE, so I felt like a hypocrite. Here I was encouraging students to have a growth mindset. Persist in the face of challenge. You learn from your mistakes. But yet, I could run away. So it was really only about 7 years ago where I decided I probably need to face the thing I'm avoiding. How could I ask my students to do something that made them feel anxious when I was avoiding doing the things that made me feel anxious, right? So where could I begin? I thought, okay, I'll try yoga class. I don't know if I can do any of those things, but at least I can get meditation out of it. So, being me, I emailed the owner of the studio and I asked a whole bunch of questions, like, what if I don't know what to do? And what if I can't do the things? And she said, it's okay, because you know what? Showing up is enough. You just have to try. Effort is enough. If you just continually show up and try, you're gonna gradually get better. And so I chose to believe her. And I said, what if I can't get in that contortion and touch the floor? And she said, we have options. The blocks make the floor come up to you. So that was cool. And we focused more on performance. It didn't matter if you could get into a specific pose. What mattered is over time, I can now do the tree pose without touching the wall, right? So it's gradual growth over time, not performing at a certain level. And it's individualized, not competitive. So if I can't do a certain pose, I'm not gonna hold the whole team back, right? So that felt better, and I chose to keep coming, and I did gradually get stronger and stronger. And I started to feel braver about taking on new challenges. So one of my yoga teachers started a paddleboarding business. This looks cool, right? I grew up in Arizona. We don't have a lot of water. I live in Delaware now, and so when I can get out on the water, it's an amazing experience, but I didn't think I could do this. So I asked my friend who started this business, I said, do you think I could actually paddleboard? And she said, well, if you can do some of the balance poses in yoga, you're probably good. So I thought I would give it a shot, and that's me. Yeah. Okay, but this is not the first day I paddleboarded. This is multiple sessions later, and there's something important to notice about this picture. I have shoes on. I can normally have more balance. I have more balance when my shoes are off. So on this day, I'm doing a sweep turn, and that happened. Yeah. So I'm back in 8th grade, thinking, okay, here I go. I try to do something, and I get another message that this is not for me. I can't do this. I feel like I'm back on the arm hang, not able to do what other people can do. What happens next? My friend, the instructor, she dove right in the water with me, and I was like, what's going on? And what happened was she knew I was nervous, that I wouldn't be strong enough. You have to have a lot of upper body strength to get back on the board. So she held the board for me, and then I was able to get myself back up. So that process, what happened after I fell, is we're in a group paddleboarding, and everyone started telling all their stories about all the times they fell too. Because, of course, everyone falls sometimes. It's just part of the experience. And her process of diving in that water with me made me really think about this. How do we be with our students in those moments? How do we experience that moment with them where we support them while allowing them to still do the work and the thinking? Yeah. So, again, we know the theory. We know about growth mindset. We know about productive struggle. We can preach it, but what is it like to experience it? There's emotional intensity, right? When you go through those moments of putting yourself in those uncomfortable spaces ourselves. Maybe for some of us it's math, and maybe for some of us it's something else. But being in that space when we're challenging ourselves beyond our comfort zone helps us experience what our students might experience. So I wondered, how can my math classes feel more like my experience in my yoga classes or paddleboarding? So a few thoughts about that. I really want every student that comes into any one of my classrooms to know that I already see them as enough. When you enter my classroom, you come as you are, because any ideas you have already have brilliance in them. Any initial ideas and attempts that you have are going to have strengths that we can build upon. I'm not focusing on us fixing each other. We're focusing on understanding each other and gradually improving together and assuming brilliance. So this also makes me think about practices in our teaching that can focus on gradual growth. I think about our assessment practices, where we may have students build portfolios where they articulate how their thinking has grown, or mastery assessments where their performance isn't timed-based, only based on a unit test at a particular time. They can come back weeks later and show how their thinking has grown and changed gradually on its own time scale. And I learned about this thing that people who do sports, they call about personal records, a PR, a personal best. That's a thing. And so what is that in a math class? I'll tell you what it's not. It's not a timed test of how many problems you can do in a short period of time. That's not a PR in math. So what could be a PR in math? Maybe it's a new connection, a new insight that you didn't have before. You understand something more deeply, and that is your personal best. So what would happen if we truly dive in with our students, where we face our own challenges so we can practice greater empathy for our students' experiences and the efforts they put when they show up every day and do the math with us? So I would just like to invite folks to continue the conversation. I'm imagining an asynchronous space and then maybe some synchronous times where we think together, what hurdles in our life do we avoid or have we avoided? And how can taking on one of those hurdles help us facilitate mathematics learning where students truly know that they are already enough? So thanks. Thanks for being here.